Who will win the 2019 Rugby World Cup? Check out my opinion right now. Welcome back to SkinnyBru Rugby, guys. So it's the second time for me doing this type of video of predicting who will actually win the World Cup. The first one was a while before the tournament actually kicked off, so a lot has changed since then and now it's a little bit different. This one is just before the quarterfinals, so there's 8 teams remaining: Australia, England, France, Ireland, Japan, New Zealand, South Africa and Wales. Before I get into it, remember to hit the subscribe button if you do like the video. The channel is really growing throughout this World Cup, and it's all because of you guys, and I really appreciate it. Let's get into it. So this is how I predicted Pool A would come out, with Ireland and Scotland being at the top. At the end though, that's not what happened, with Japan really fronting up and beating Ireland in that game, which was totally unexpected, and that really messed up the whole system of how I predicted everything, but it's still okay. Everything's still okay. Pool B, we always knew it would be a 2-horse race. We just did not know which order it would be in. I actually said South Africa would win that first game between New Zealand and South Africa, making them be the top of the pool, but that didn't happen. The New Zealanders obviously won that game after the Boks employed that stupid box kick method, and that really did not work. That strategy did not work against the New Zealanders. So at the end, New Zealand were at the top and South Africa in second. Pool C, my prediction was pretty accurate for this one: England and France. I just expected a little bit more from USA, but Tonga really fronted up. They really turned up in this tournament, really showing what they can do. Got close against France, and it was just great to watch in that pool. Pool D was Wales and Australia. They were the favorites. Fiji, they were always going to be the dark horse, and they just did not pitch up in this tournament. It's the only pool where every single team actually managed to win a game, so this is pretty great for the tournament. Every lower ranked team actually got it right to get a win as well, but this one I actually wound up calling spot on. So in the first video, this is what I thought the quarterfinals would look like. I'm pretty close. The only thing that it has changed now, Ireland versus New Zealand, is just on a different side of the knockout stages, and of course Japan is playing against South Africa. Let's have a closer look at each game. Quarterfinal number 1 will be England versus Australia. England, of course, winning their pool after only playing 3 games. 32 points to Tonga, 38 points to USA, and then 29 points to Argentina. And then the France game they would have played was cancelled because of the typhoon. So they haven't really played any hard games as of yet, the English side. So they might be a little bit more rested for this game. As for the Australians, they were second in their pool, winning by 18 points against Fiji, losing by 4 points to Wales, beat Uruguay by 35 points, Georgia by 19 points. So 2 hard games that they've played in the last month. So they might be a little bit more battle ready than the rested England, but I do think Eddie Jones's side is stronger and will win the first quarterfinal. Then it is New Zealand versus Ireland. Both of them title contenders. Both of them could actually win this World Cup, so it's going to be a huge game, and it is fully a 50-50 split on who will win this game. For New Zealand, they've played 3 games. Beat South Africa by 10 points, beat Canada by 63, beat Namibia by 62, and then the Italy game also cancelled because of the typhoon. Then Ireland, 4 games played, 24 over Scotland, lost by 7 points to Japan, 35 points over Russia, and then beat Samoa by 42 points. So where the New Zealanders haven't played a big game in 1 month, the Irish, they have had 2 big games in the last month. And then 2 smaller games, so they could get a little bit more rested after playing their full strength team. But on the other hand, the New Zealanders actually got a whole week off to rest, and the Irish actually lost a game. This game is truly a 50-50 split on who will win. I think if anyone really stands a chance against the New Zealanders, it is Ireland, but I think after that one loss they had to Japan, I would back the champions. I would back New Zealand to win this one. The third quarterfinals is Wales versus France, and Wales, they haven't been as convincing in the pool where they were really favourites to shine. They beat Georgia by 29, Australia by 4, Fiji by 12, and then Uruguay by 22. So all of them victories, but a little bit less of a margin that you would have predicted. But they do have the ability to really find the next gear and just up the ante in the quarterfinals. France, they are the team some might say is a bit lucky to actually be there. After beating Argentina by 2 points, then beat USA by 24 points, which isn't a lot considering it is against USA, and then only 2 points over Tonga. So yeah, it's not a big margin of victory, that one either. And in their last game that they would have played against England got cancelled as well. So 2 of those games could have lost because of just one drop goal. So that's a pretty close one. And then they could have also lost the game to England if they actually played it. A lot of people would maybe say they wouldn't have gotten any points from that. So France might be a little bit lucky to be there. But on the other hand, France is a team that really pitches up when it's knockout stages. They are a team that they will play very poor in pool stages, and then when it's knockout time, they just are just a different team. I just don't see that happening from this team this year. I think Wales will win this one. Then quarterfinal number 4 is Japan versus South Africa, and it's the second time these two teams meet in 2019, but this time around there's a lot more at stake. Japan, they've probably been in the best form they've ever been. They are number 8 ranked in the world at the moment, the best ranking they've also been. They beat Russia by 20 points, beat Ireland by 7 points in an astounding game. No one expected that one. Then Samoa by 19 points, and then this weekend that passed, they beat Scotland as well by 7 points. Also a lot on the line in that game, so they've been performing really well. As for South Africa, they lost by 10 points to New Zealand, beat Namibia by 54 points, beat Italy by 46 points, and then Canada by 59 points as well. They only played one big game in the last month, and that was against New Zealand, where they actually lost. The other games were pretty easy, and 2 of them actually had red cards, so one might say they aren't as battle ready. From this team, the Springbok side, there's nothing really you could see from them. There's nothing suggesting that they are world beaters at the moment. Look, they've had great performances, and you can't lie, but the one big game they have played hasn't convinced you. They have lost against New Zealand, so it's pretty difficult to make a prediction on the Springboks at the moment, especially with Japan. They are real giant slayers at the moment. They could beat the Boks, really they could, in another Rugby World Cup match, but I think South Africa will take this one. Then for the semi-finals, instead of England versus South Africa as I predicted, it will now be England versus New Zealand because of how the pool panned out. England overcame Australia then to get into the semi-final, so they will be ready for a physical battle, even though they would have had a pretty big one after they played against Australia. Then New Zealand, they also would have played a very, very hard game against Ireland as well. And that would have been physically and mentally draining. But for the All Blacks, I think they'll probably be a little bit more confident beating England than they are beating Ireland. Though England, they are still a threat, the chances are that New Zealand would still reach the final in this one. The second semi-final is then Wales versus South Africa. Wales has been a tough opponent for the Boks in recent history, but South Africa wouldn't have come from a very physical game against Japan. Look, Japan really plays hard rugby. They run with the ball, but they don't have a real physical pack that really defies all odds, really battle up front, really heats up the oven. It's just gonna be a little bit better for South Africa to play this game after Japan. As for Wales, they will be coming from a game versus the French, who could really put up a fight, who could really play physical rugby as well. This one could truly go either way, so Wales could actually go through in this one, but I think again South Africa would actually make it through Wales as well. Just going back, the last time they played, South Africa played with a second team and actually got close, but you can't really go too close into that. But I think South Africa would front up and win. That means the final I did predict right then. It is New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand after facing Ireland and England, and South Africa facing Japan and Wales. That means South Africa would be physically up for it after not having such a tough path to the final. But New Zealand, they would have had a very tough path with Ireland and England in front of them. But I think they would be a little bit more battle ready, if you could describe it like that. After playing big games, they would be ready for another big game. This is an interesting one after South Africa actually lost to New Zealand by 10 points in the first pool game. Considering how poorly South Africa actually played in that game, the margin that they lost by isn't actually that bad. So there has to be a plan. Rassie has to have a plan. He has to have something else up his sleeve. But Hansen obviously has something else as well. This time around, though, I think New Zealand will take it again. I wish I could say the Springboks. Obviously, I am a South African and I wish I could say that. But not at the form that the South Africans have had at the moment. And not from what we've seen from the Boks. I mean, we haven't seen them playing big opposition yet. We haven't really seen them fronting up big opposition, beating them recently. So it's hard to make a prediction. It all depends on how they do against Japan and especially Wales. As for New Zealand, they will be playing against two big oppositions. So it's going to probably favor them because they will be really battle ready for this game. The other contenders though, England, if they had to face New Zealand in the semi-finals, I really doubt they would win. So I do think England isn't a real contender for the trophy. Sorry about that. Ireland, if they beat New Zealand in the first knockout game, I do think they will go through and actually win the trophy. As for Wales, they haven't been at their best. They might get to the final, but if they had to front up against Ireland or New Zealand or a big side like that, I do not think they will win the trophy. They could, they really can. They are a side that could do it, but I don't think how they are playing at the moment in the World Cup are suggesting a win will happen there. Guys, let me know your thoughts on who you think will win this World Cup. I know all of you have a different opinion, especially on who you are supporting in this World Cup. Please check out some of my other videos, and if you do like this channel, do hit the subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Cheers.